if I tell you that you can upgrade your brain, be it for better sleep, for being more productive, more creative, more focused, more or faster relaxed, and all of that without taking any caffeine, without taking any sugar, without taking any funny mushrooms, would you try it? Hands up. Okay, that's exactly what I need to see because you need to go later to that stage. No, but just I need to make a confession. 2 years ago, I could have been on his CFO or on financial events because I was the CMO of a financial service company. And now I turned, which is actually the better party pitch, into the only legal LSD dealer in Switzerland. But I call LSD not what you think, I call it light sound device. Because light and sound is psychedelic. And I would like to tell you a little bit about that. I was not born there, but when psychedelics were banned and Nixon declared the war on drugs, he did this with, let's say, a political agenda because he wanted to harm his opponents who were also the hippies and the freedom movement. But it had a big impact on a lot of researchers. And we see that today again because we still have a lot of research now coming up again, which shows you that psychedelics, especially MDMA, but also LSD, and you don't need to go on a bike through Basel, but that all those psychedelics have a big effect on people who suffer from burnout, trauma, depression, but research was forbidden. So you were not allowed to do the research on that. And what did researchers do? So this gentleman here looks like my father. So his name is Garnet Dupree. He's a US Canadian, and he said, okay, if you take those kind of psychedelics where we're researching away from us, they are natural psychedelics who we can use to do further brain research on that. And the natural things are light and are sound, because nobody can forgive or let's say ban, listening to music, or nobody can ban LEDs, at least hopefully, hopefully. And the funny thing is here, and probably you all know that, because if the weather is beautiful outside and you stand at the Lake Zurich, you have a different mood than when it's gray and rainy. So light has an impact on your emotional well-being. The same is with sound. Sound can let you revisit an emotional state from your teenage times if you listen to a specific song in a split of a second. And psychedelics are defined as something, most of the time it's a substance, that has an impact on your emotional well-being. So, but combining that, and today you have light therapy, you have sound therapy, you can use light and sound for the same kind of effects because your brain doesn't make a difference if it's a frequency or if it's a substance. And I don't know who is aware of different brain states. So you have different mind states. It starts usually in delta, which is the lowest frequency with 1 to 4 hertz. This is usually what you have when you are in a REM sleep. So when you're sleeping well, this is the phase where your brain has the biggest, the fastest recovery or even physical recovery for your body. And it goes then via theta state. So this is when you are in hypnosis, when you're dreaming, or when you are in a meditation, up to alpha, which is more for creativity, being very relaxed. So when you go for a walk and all of a sudden ideas are coming, or you take a long shower, so then you're more or less in alpha frequency. When you're working, most of the time you're in beta. Then you're coordinating, you're organizing, you're doing those kind of things. So it's a higher brain frequency. And then you are in gamma when you are really on performance, focus, athletes who do, let's say, snowboard Olympians or those kind of things, or maybe a weightlifter. So those are people who are then in a high gamma state. Or if you need to do your tax declaration in Switzerland. So, but in the end, if you can imagine that your brain is a 24-story building and there's an elevator, and as a baby or as a child, you can go in that elevator very fast up and down. Today, when we age, so aging, stress, corporate life, makes us less flexible. So that means that most people of us, they stuck probably, depending on where they work and how their life is, between, let's say, floor 14 and 16. And they have no way to wind down. And this is exactly what you can do with light and sound. You can actually train that. So your light and sound is actually your, let's say, modern lift boy to take the elevator and train your brain to go faster into states. Because usually what other people do is they take substances. So so they say, okay, if I need to go creative, I mean, microdosing is a big thing in Switzerland, but you also have other stuff. So if you want to wind down, then you take some melatonin, or you take some other medication, or you just try to relax, right? So, or maybe you learn to be more mindful and you go and you start to meditate. But I doubt that everybody here has the time to learn meditation. And so there is something which is needed. So because a healthy brain can switch between those mind states very fast. And you know that also. There are some moments in life where your brain does that. And it's called brain signal variability. So this is the moment that your brain goes from one state into the other in a split of a second. And for instance, when you're driving a car and you are on a highway for half an hour or something, and it's already a little bit dreamlike, and you're dreaming there, and all of a sudden somebody cuts your way, it might be okay that you also get angry, but you will be full alert. And you see, and this is when your brain goes immediately into a focus state. And this state, it's not switching back immediately, so it stays in that state. And you can train that. And this is exactly what I'm doing now, thanks to Garnet Dupree, that US-Canadian who came up with light and sound, with the neuroVIZR, which you can experience outside. So it's light and sound stimulation for the brain, which helps you to put your brain into a specific frequency. Everything what's happening there are just binaural sounds, and and white light. And you keep your eyes closed, and the rest does your brain. You will see colors, you will see patterns. You are actually on a psychedelic trip without taking any substance. And for all the corporates here, and I was at a corporate, so I was at an insurance company, and we did all these tick boxes on employee well-being. So we did stuff like, okay, let's create a relaxing room where we put some beds in. We had our bike to work challenge. We had our step challenge. We placed yoga mats in there. And do you see the difference? Because everything that corporates are doing, or anything that you usually do when you think about health, it's about physical health. And if I would have asked in the beginning, who wants to do something for mental health, probably nobody would have raised the hand because it's stigmatized. If I say, oh, who would like to improve their cognitive performance, everybody does. And what is important here is just, it's not enough to put yoga mats in there. There is a big chance at the moment, a big currency, and also for longevity, the key is sleep. I mean, you can take as much supplements as you want, but you need to focus on sleep. Sleep is your biggest driver. If you can't sleep, you have a problem. If you take sleep away from animals, they die. So it's very important that you are focusing on improving your let's say, circadian rhythm, and that you have rest. And yoga mats are not enough, because it's funny that we all focus on our body. We go to the gym, even sometimes corporates pay the gym, and they do stuff for their employees, but your brain is still running on Microsoft 95. So there's a big competitive advantage if you focus on that. And this brings me to my last slide. And you can scan that thing, because what we're doing is, and I'm very grateful that I already work with a lot of corporate partners. Swika, Swisscom, they already use neuroVIZR for their employees. I also would like to start a study in Switzerland, also together with clinics. Longevity Center in Switzerland was one of my first clients that I had here when I started with that technology, to do a very big study on sleep. So if you know people who have sleeping disorders, can't sleep well, send them those links. They should sign up. And if you would like to test it, just come later. Because don't forget, and that's my last point, so you can actually, some people traveled here, they are from farther away, but now you can also travel, and I can put you on a brain travel, and it will be the best 10-minute trip that you do without leaving Zurich. So thank you very much.